Prisoner walking! Alright, pay attention, punk. You are now Butcher Bay prisoner 5421135-2. Remember your number. Remember the rules. My rules. Now listen, there's no outside at Butcher's. Just a whole planet of desert. So check those desires right now, because you will not get out. No one has, no one ever will. Okay, close the gate. No physical contact with other inmates whatsoever. No contraband of any kind. Don't ask what's contraband.
Escape from Butcher Bay is a first-person shooter and stealth game developed by Starbreeze Studios, where you get to play as Richard B. Riddick, who might just be the only person in the world who can threaten to kill someone with a teacup and follow through with it. The game is a prequel to the science fiction movie Pitch Black, and it starts off with Riddick being sent into a maximum security prison called Butcher Bay by bounty hunter William Johns. Now the story itself is pretty simple, but the way it is told is what steals the show here. The game has magnificent production value, from the great visuals to superb voice acting with actors like Cole Hauser, Exhibit, and of course, Vin Diesel as Riddick. One problem that can turn people off about the visuals though is the overabundance of visual effects being used on screen, which can make things look blurry. But thankfully you can turn those off in the options menu, so it's not really that big of a deal. Another problem, however, is the animation and lip syncing during dialogue and cutscenes, which really pales in comparison to the spectacular voice acting done by the cast. But this is understandable since the game was released in 2004.
We're moving again. They just transmitted a safe route through the minefield.
That minefield's offering better odds than you're gonna get taking me to Butcher Bay. You think Hoxie's memory is that short?
He gets one look at you, Riddick, and all is forgiven. And I bank your bounty plus 50.
Plus 50? Now come on, Johns. Greed is an ugly thing.
You're in no position to negotiate, Riddick.
We're landing at Butcher Bay in an hour. Buckle up. Turbulence from an incoming sandstorm is expected. Hang on till we're through it.
Oh yeah, I forgot you don't like this part. Statistically, landings are the most dangerous.
You got nothing left to live for, Riddick. I do. Now shut up, would you?
You're already counting it, aren't you?
I said shut up.
There are two versions of the game. One is the director's cut released in 2004 for the PC, and the other one is a remastered version that came out bundled with Assault on Dark Athena for the PS3, Xbox 360, and PC, which is the version I'm going to be reviewing today. The first prison area you get dumped in acts as a hub where you get to interact with other NPCs and help them out in a bunch of side quests or just ask them for information about Butcher Bay. Doing these side quests can give you access to weapons and tools you could use to help you on your journey. Those range from shivs, which help you in hand-to-hand combat.
I got the shiv you wanted, Riddick. What the F you think you're doing, Matson? You dealing without my approval?
You're in my cell.
You need a blade. You come to me.
I said, you're in my cell.
What? Wrong. All these cells belong to the Aquilians, including this one. Now, you ain't paid me for that shank, so it ain't yours.
Come take it.
You got a hearing problem. I said everything I see belongs to me.
See this? It belongs to me.
And vent tools to help you access ventilation shafts to traverse through different areas in Butcher Bay undetected. Once you are outside of the hub area, you get to engage in hand-to-hand combat, shooting, and stealth. The way the hand-to-hand combat works is that you press the left mouse button to attack and the right mouse button to block. And while attacking, you can press the directional keys to do different kinds of attacks. Once you're blocked, you can do a counterattack. If you time it just right and press the attack button while the enemy is attacking, you can trigger a counterattack which looks fucking badass. However, this doesn't work against the stronger opponents, and what you would have to do is look for an opening while the opponent is attacking, and try to thump them before they thump you. For melee weapons, you get different kinds of shivs, clubs, and more. Though the variety in weapons is pretty pointless since different shivs or clubs do pretty much the same thing. And as for the shooting in the game, it's nothing special, it's just okay. And it is fun, and I think the impact felt while shooting is very satisfying. The weapons you get are pretty standard. You get an assault rifle, a shotgun, and a pistol. You are mostly going to be using the shotgun, because it is more common than the pistol, and the assault rifle can't always be used due to the safety measures in the prison. As far as enemies go, you got the normal guards and guards in armor, and you got your zombie-like monsters that rush towards you forcefully, and aliens that remind me of the xenomorph with how they crawl and climb all over the place.
This is Central Command. We detected a large explosion at your location. Any Xeno activity?
No, nothing.
Good. Hope it stays that way.
Just a minute. There's been a cave-in here.
However, the enemy AI is shit, and it's not something reminiscent to the AI in games like Fear. So the stealth sections is where the emphasis on light and darkness come into play. So the way it's designed is if you're in the dark, then guards don't spot you. But if you're in the light, then guards have superhuman eyesight, able to spot you the split second you step into the light. And to stealthily kill guards, you can use either a loud stealth attack or a more silent one, using either the left or right mouse button.
Look around the corner. See what this piece of meat's up to. I gotta drop him. I should hide the body. Someone might notice.
However, I didn't really notice any difference between the two due to the shoddy AI system. I mean, the guards tend to be pretty oblivious to their teammates. Use a tranquilizer gun on one of them, for example, and the other goes about his business without a care in the world. The tranquilizer gun is given to you about halfway through the game, which helps you during stealth because you are now able to shoot off light sources, which is something you can't do with melee weapons unless you're using a ranged weapon as a melee weapon for some fucking reason, and attack enemies from afar silently. After that, the stealth becomes super easy, and you can shoot your way through it without a problem, whereas before it was a real pain in the ass for no fault of your own. Just bad AI and piss poor stealth mechanics. And it's a real shame because this is Riddick, a guy who uses the darkness as a weapon to take out enemies quickly and silently without them knowing where he came from and then disappearing back into the blackness. Once you take down a guard, you can drag his body and hide it in the dark. But that mechanic is largely useless, considering you're most likely going to get spotted during your stealth run. You also get dialogue options, deciding what to say to the people you talk to, but it didn't really have any impact and it was largely pointless. And I think the only time you ever use it is at the very beginning of the game. Later on it's completely forgotten, probably because the developers realize how pointless it is.
Hey, don't fucking move.
Today, Johns, you get fucked.
You don't move until I say so.
The level design, however, is spectacular. There is a great sense of place to Butcher Bay, with a ton of variety to the levels and the different sections in the prison. Despite all that, I still found myself getting lost, not knowing where to go or what to do next. But everything else is top notch with a great atmosphere. And it's just so much fun to play as the anti-hero Riddick. I mean, you really feel like a complete badass. Every time you cause enough trouble in one prison section, they send you into another one with tougher conditions, and yet you still manage to wiggle your way out of it. Overall, the biggest problem the game has is the shoddy AI, which is why the stealth is so bad and the shooting is just okay. I mean, take the aliens that crawl around for example. They can climb and crawl all over the place, but get up on a crate and they won't know what to do. Some enemies tend to also stand in one location and look in one direction as well, which can be infuriating during stealth sections. Despite all that, I still had a lot of fun with the game, and I would still recommend it for the amount of variety on offer and the great voice acting and storytelling, which make this a really memorable game to play.
You see anything?
Darkness. You afraid? I'm not. The dark is afraid of me.